What is something that is expensive, but only owned by poor people? As somebody who works at a gas station, Newport cigarettes, seriously, it's almost only ever poor people who buy them, and they're one of the most expensive cigarette brands we carry. Edit. For those asking how I know they're poor, it's something you eventually pick up on after working at a gas station for a while. It's hard to describe, but it's subtle. It's usually their mannerisms. I remember I had an old Chevy truck that cost so much to maintain and keep fuel in that I couldn't afford to save for another car. I literally kept me broke until I eventually joined the military and could afford a different vehicle. Crappy cars are more expensive than you realize. Lack of preventative care. Cheap shoes or cheap mattress leads to more expensive medical care. Lack of dental maintenance leads to expensive surgeries. That kind of thing. When you can't afford preventative medical care, it catches up to you, leading to more expensive costs later. Fucking mattresses. I'm a paramedic, was badly injured at work last summer, and my life has been a waking nightmare literally, because I couldn't sleep because replacing my bed was impossible. Not only are they unreasonably expensive, but we ended up going through 3 different beds before we finally found one that didn't make my back pain worse. We finally found what may have been the magic bullet a week ago, and I could cry. I'm so grateful. Edit. Couple people asking, it's a Zinus. I was deeply hesitant to try memory foam because memory foam beds prior to my injury are awful as far as comfort. I tried several and hated them, and so it hadn't occurred to me to try again post-injury. A perpetually broken car. I was leaving an abusive relationship that also ruined my credit, so my parents bought me a car so that I could survive once I got out. They overpaid and spent $3,000, a 2002 Toyota Corolla with over 200,000 miles on it. It was a nice gesture, but I'm now stuck paying them back every month, and I have spent over $1,500 in repairs on this car in the last year and it's still not running like it should. There's no way I could find another sucker to buy this piece of junk, so I'm stuck with it until I can pay it off or until I fix my credit. What a mess. Shopping carts. My ex was a manager at a supermarket in a low-income area, and he and an employee or two would drive around every couple of weeks to collect stranded shopping carts. He told me stories of finding carts used as all kinds of shit, including dog cages and a grill. Someone turned a shopping cart over on top of a fire pit and grilled meat on it. Innovation. He didn't get that cart back. Prepay electricity meters. Although it was a movie thing, there really are people somewhere putting dollar coins into a meter to get light. I don't know about the US, but they exist in the UK. They aren't coin in the slot anymore. You put money on a card. But the worst thing about them is that they are often in rented accommodation for poorer people, and they charge a higher rate per unit of electricity than a normal meter. So the poorest people are charged more for the same thing. Edit. Well, that exploded. But now I have to add that a couple of people have pointed out that not all suppliers charge a premium these days, and there is now a limit to how much extra they are allowed to charge. Bad credit. It is expensive to make someone comfortable enough to loan you money without them being certain you will pay it back. Payday loans. Rent to own. Spoiler. You never quite own it. I was going through a divorce in another state, and knew I was going to get my furniture at the end of the process, so I rented a cheap couch for like $10 for 2 to 3 months to put in my apartment until I got all my stuff. They tried to bully me into buying into all kinds of extra and needed insurances. They were very forceful and condescending. Then one day, I honestly forgot to pay on the day payment was due. It was $10, and I easily had the money. So I was shocked at the level of anger and pushiness from the phone call reminding me payment was due. It made me feel very bad for the people who have to go through these situations and treatment in order to have furniture. Not to mention that the couch was complete junk. When I moved to Atlanta, when I was very poor, I needed to get an air conditioner. They were charging something like $30 per week for the air conditioning unit. I asked how much it would cost to buy it, and it was something like $100. I ended up buying it and selling the air conditioning unit at the end of my time in Atlanta. Single items of things that should be bought in bulk, like single rolls of toilet paper. Daily scraping by paycheck to paycheck means buying bulk is sometimes impossible. Lottery tickets. So you're telling me there's a chance? Well, at my job there are a few people who I'm aware of their salary. They make around $25,000 a year after taxes. One of them somehow has a lifted Ford Raptor that I hear is like $50,000. He recently acquired a motorcycle too. He probably thinks it's cool, but he's likely eating the dirt off his tires because he can't afford anything else but those payments and insurance. Sounds like he has two jobs or doesn't pay for his housing. I'm sure he doesn't have another job. I am pretty sure he lives with his GF at her parents' house though, so that's probably it. Dad teeth. When you can't afford a dentist visit and let your oral health slide, it can have all sorts of expensive health consequences, such as heart disease. Cigarettes expensive as fuck in Australia. I think they are expensive almost everywhere now. Yeah, but in Australia, it's a whole other level. A pack in US costs about $8, while in Sydney a pack is $20 US or 30 Australian dollars. To those saying packs cost $15, in Nick I'm referring to prices in Michigan. Despite a high state tax for tobacco products, Detroit doesn't have an additional city tax that pushes prices as high as other major cities. Loads of stuff. It's expensive being poor for a variety of reasons, including having to buy poorer quality goods and needing to replace them more often because of initial cost. Not being able to bulk buy, predatory loans, and really anything that puts someone in a you have no other choice position. On top of that, there are things like cheap food being bad for your health and incurring expensive health bills later in life, continuing paying rent on something you'll never own, cheap cars that require maintenance more often. Being poor is expensive AF. Debt. I feel like the question was written just for this answer. A lot of kids, the poor, are often very fruitful. I am one of the lowest paid employees at my facility. I always wondered why some of my higher paid coworkers drove old run-down cars and I have a fairly new car. After a few years it clicked that they all have tattoo for kids and I don't. Designer handbags covered in the brand logo. Louis Vuitton, Louis Vuitton, Louis Vuitton, Louis Vuitton, Louis Vuitton, Louis Vuitton. I've even read that luxury brands will sell lower quality pieces where the brand is plastered all over it, directly targeted at people who are buying them to show them off. A lot of these places will also have pieces where the brand is much more subtle. Slads it's so rich and they spend so much more on straps, candy coats, and clean at interiors. Looks dope, but I don't care for cars that much to own one, and I'm not from Houston. I used to live in Third Ward in Houston, and you see the nicest cars parked outside of houses that are practically falling down. Excessive amount of anything, like Jordans, like $200 to $300 shoes. Did an eviction once, and the guy had about 100 boxes of them at it. I meant excessive amount of expensive items they typically wouldn't be able to afford normally, and needlessly spend money on these items. Just paying rent, where I live mortgage, is way cheaper than getting a house, but they don't give me a mortgage because I don't earn enough. So I have to keep renting expensive places, making it take even longer for me to save up. And in my situation, getting a better paying job is difficult. I swear this world is made for the rich and middle class. Poor people are straight up fucked in every way possible. Depends. Owning a house brings up more expenses. Maintenance, electrical system, and those things has to be renewed. And tax here, tax there. At least in Italy. Honestly, I can see the house a liability. I'd rather prefer to spend those money in other kind of investments. Long term, near constant stress and worrying over money. Definitely expensive in terms of physical and mental health. Spinning rims on cars. Tattoos, they're not cheap, but somehow they're inked from head to toe. Court fines and legal fees. Our legal system is based on access, and access costs money. When you don't have that money to access connected legal assistance, you lose in court, and get outrageous judgments and fines. Our court system exists to keep poor people poor while making lawyers, judges, legal clerks, etc. some of the most well-paid people in a community. iPhones in my country. A designer belt. Dudes will pay $300 to hold up their pants, but can't afford linens for their mattress that's on the floor without a box spring. Hey, you want to go to the bar tonight and grab dinner? I got paid today. Cool. Have you thought about tomorrow when bills are due and you tell me it's not your fault that you are scrapped for money 13 out of 14 days? An example of why being poor is expensive. Let's say you need new running shoes you wear at your job as a cashier. You can't afford the $120 ones that will last and stay comfortable for 2 years. So you pay $30. 3 months later, these cheaply made shoes need replacing. So you wind up paying $120 on shoes per year because it's too hard to have $1 all at once to buy ones that will last 2 years. You pay twice as much to achieve the same thing. Even poorer relatives. Poverty tends to run in families due to lack of social mobility, opportunity, and all the rest. God help you if you are the least poor of a group of poor people. Jimmy needs bail. You get a call. Marisol is pregnant. You get a call. Tammy Lynn die. You're getting a call. And if you're poor and an immigrant living somewhere with a strong currency pours, dollars, euros act, you can go ahead and plan on losing a big chunk of your monthly pittance that way too. Between broke-ass relatives here and remittances abroad, the only proof a people have that they ever had an income is the thick stack of Western Union receipts in their drawer. Thanks for watching. Share your stories in the comments.